Welcome back to 33 Dreams of Indy. I'm your host, Robert Earl, and today I am joined by a up-and-coming star on the Road to Indy series, Josh Green. Josh, I appreciate you taking some time out of your busy schedule to be with us.
Thank you for having me.
Fantastic. So you're in the New York area, about 45 minutes outside of the city. You're probably running into I had a discussion with Stingray Rob, and he's in Idaho, and there's not a lot of places to race around your area. You have to commute a bit to get to tracks.
Yeah, the closest track, like car real race track, is Lime Rock, which is about an hour up north from where I live.
Yeah, and have you had an opportunity to drive on that track in any sort of car?
Unfortunately not, but I have been there plenty of times to watch the IMSA races, the Northeast Grand Prix.
Fantastic. So I was reading up, you're one of the 6 finalists for the Team USA scholarship. What was that experience like at Road America going through that process?
It was a lot of fun, and I'm sure anyone who's been there, who you've had on the show, has had a lot to say about it. Mr. Shaw creates an awesome opportunity, and the judges were fantastic. It was really cool. All the drivers were all super nice, really, really good people. We were all there to collaborate and help each other. The Lucas Oil cars were a lot of fun, and especially on the Cooper tires they were on, those really, really, really like road tires. They're stock road tires, so the car is constantly moving around, which was a lot of fun. And Road America obviously is pretty well known for how quick you come out corners. So, so the judges made it a really cool experience because there was so much different knowledge from so many different places, and there was so many new things to learn because there's so many different aspects. So I had like different people like Mackay Stevens, who race car driver, still a race car driver, former race car driver. He had his own points of view on like how to take certain corners and how I can go faster. And then other people who like have never really raced but are outside of the car and have always been watching, like coaches and stuff like that, have another point of view. And everyone, as usual in racing, everyone, though it's the same general area you're trying to get to, everyone has a different way of getting there. So it was really cool to sort of try and pick up as much as you could and learn as much as you could. And the experience was awesome. I mean, everyone was there to collaborate and help out, and it just made for a really, really nice, upbeat place. So, yeah.
Had you ever been to Road America before?
No, I have not been racing for very long, so my reach of tracks is quite small.
Okay. So here you are entering a brand new track in a car you've never driven before, with different tires, with different voices in your head, yet you know what's on the line because of what the Team USA scholarship means and what it has really foreshadowed for other drivers before. How did you handle that?
It was a lot of just sort of making sure I was there in the moment. I mean, I was getting rid of the expectations, keeping that all as low as I could, like just making sure in my head I was just there to do the best I could do and take away as much as I could. And that's what happened. I mean, and I think all of us were all really close in the same mindset, and it was actually quite cool to see because though we're all competing to win the scholarship and we all really want to go, every single time we get out of the car, we'd all talk to each other and help out. Like when we were having issues with gearing, what gear should you be in here, what gear should you be in there, and then like different cars, different attributes of each car. It was really cool to see because we're all drivers and obviously we all want to win, but the sessions there aren't races. They're sessions, they're time sessions. You're doing your best to go as fast as you can and be as consistent as you can. So we're all there just to help out. And it was really cool to, besides just the judges helping out, that we were all helping each other. And I think it also really helped to get all of us acclimated in where we were. Because I think there were 3 or 4 of us who had never been in the car before, Lucas Oil car. And then the 2 who had driven the Lucas Oil cars, I don't think they'd ever even been on the street tires. So it was all a relatively new experience to us. And no one had driven Road America yet. So it was all like everyone was in a very, very new place. But it was a lot of just being there to learn instead of being there to win. I was just there to pick up as much as I could, take notes, and try and leave that weekend with as much knowledge as I could take away.
Yeah. Now, did this happen before your debut at Portland or after?
It was just after. It was the weekend after.
Okay. So you made your debut in Portland, USF2000 with the Jay Howard driver development team. Tell me about that experience. Tell me about the track. I grew up out in the Pacific Northwest, and although our stock cars never got to run that particular track, across the street from it, it actually probably doesn't exist anymore. There was a half-mile pavement track that they then turned into a dirt track. And then the last time I saw it, visiting my grandparents years ago, there were bushes and weeds growing over it. So it was the old history of it. So it's nice to see Portland come back on the schedule. How was your experience there?
It was a lot of fun. It was a huge learning experience, especially because we'd never been in the car before. Showing up to the weekend. So my first time in the car was that Friday, I believe, was the test day. Yeah,
Yeah, the whole
Friday.
test day. Yes.
I had 3 sessions to get used to it. And honestly, the first day, I mean, both Jay and Lou, their engineer, were super duper accommodating. They helped me a ton, and they made it way easier to acclimate to the car than it could have been. And I mean, it made it feel like a lot less of a shot in the dark, if you will, because
Right.
they really, really helped me get acclimated in the car really quickly and get comfortable and be ready to go. Um, and I think Friday was the best day for us. Like, pace wise, just because that's the conditions I'm so used to running in. No,
Okay.
no rubber down. I mean, the track was just like it is in the FRP weekends where there's no Indy cars running. There's no super high grip, high cars running. So there's no real rubber down the track screen. And then we were really quick. We were P5 at the end of that day. And then we got into the next day. And that's when the real sort of, I was humbled by the experience then coming into the next day, into Saturday. But yeah, it was a huge learning experience. It was tons of fun. It was just really, really nice to be in that atmosphere, and especially having known a lot of the drivers there, just from karting and from past experiences, being quite good friends with all of them. It was nice to meet everyone again, and it was just really cool to get acclimated to that car, especially because obviously we're hoping to get in next year. It
Right.
was a really, really good experience, I think, and it was very worthwhile.
Yeah, and some fantastic teammates, and Jay, and every interaction I've had with him has just been absolutely tremendous. I like to say salt of the earth type of person that really is there to. The team is aptly named as a driver development team, and although he gets the performance out of them, he does that. So, um, going to transition just a little bit. Victorious in the F1600 in 2019. Congrats on that. Correct me if I'm wrong. Second in the in the points for the season. 9 wins, 15 podiums, 5 pole positions, including I was reading about a photo finish victory in New Jersey. How thrilling was that particular victory?
We've actually had a few photo finishes. I think VIR was the closest. VIR
Okay.
was, I think, the closest in FRP in that series history. It
Wow.
was like 3 feet, something like that at the
Okay.
line, some ridiculous. But yeah, I mean, 1600s Formula Ford racing. That's just it was so much fun all year. And I mean, Jeff at Team Pelfrey, absolutely awesome guy. I mean, he commits everything he has to that race team, and he spends all this time doing R&D on his own time, trying to get the cars to go faster.
Wow.
And he just runs an awesome program. Like I can't there's not much more to say besides it's just so much fun to work with him. He does all the pre-race stuff that I love, sitting doing data, Discord, going on iRacing, and just practicing passing, stuff like that. Like, and just getting super duper prepared for the weekends. Like his biggest motto is, if we show up to the track and we're the most prepared to win, you're gonna win. That's the way. That's the way we hope it goes most of the time. But yeah, he does tons and tons of before track preparation. He does all the work that it takes to get the cars to be fast. And I mean, he's taught me a lot of what I learned in racing this last season. He is a huge, huge influencer of what I've learned. And I mean, with that whole family, because it's a whole traveling family, him, Jeff, Jessica, and that whole family, they all go to all the tracks and stuff. And it's just really cool to see. And they're all great people. And the season itself was, so I mean, we had Jonathan Kotick, who's a past, I think he finished second in the points the year before, and he also won the Team USA scholarship. Extremely talented driver. And I
Okay.
think that also helped a lot with my learning experience, because he's a great guy. He was actually my coach in karting. So it was quite funny to come up and be racing him in cars immediately. But he's extremely
Small
talented.
world. It's a small world.
Really is. It was quite funny showing up to the track the first weekend and seeing him show up. It was, but yeah, he's extremely talented, and obviously it never made it easy. It was a really, really hard season. We fought hard every single weekend. It was never easy to win races, and Formula Ford being the way it is, you never know until the last lap. I mean, the draft is such a huge thing that you never really know who's going to win the race until you come down to the last lap, and we just try and pull away, which almost never happened. I mean, the reason Formula Ford is such an influential series, or Formula 1600 in the US, is because in USF or up the ladder system, it gets even harder to overtake. I mean, the passing opportunities per race is a lot smaller the higher you go up the ladder. And so in 1600, instead of you having like 4, 5, 6 opportunities to pass in a race, you have like 4, 5, 6 opportunities a lap to overtake. And you have to make those split-second decisions. Do I go left? Do I go right? Where do I brake? Sort of decisions at speed every single lap. So I think, and Jeff stresses this as well, it's just the best way to prepare for going into single-seater racing.
Yeah, to be able to plan something out, but yet react to what is actually going on, because you can spend hours on the sim, but once that car in front of you darts or dashes to one direction or the other, to be able to do that. What if you had fallen on the opposite end of that finish, that closest finish that occurred? Because you came out on the right side of it. Well, what if it wasn't? How does that make you feel?
I was lucky to come out on the right side both times, but at VIR it was kind of like a dream weekend, if you will, because practice 2, I don't know, so a huge accident involving me and 2 other cars where I ended up in the hospital after the car was completely wrecked. All 3 corners, or I took off 3 corners. Team did an awesome job overnight to get the thing back prepared and from a canoe to a race car in back to qualifying. And when we were able to go back out in qualifying, it was just like, I mean, it was insane. Like, I was so surprised by the team, and the team did an awesome job to get everything set back up because the car was literally a canoe by the time it landed and was in the barrier. And yeah, I mean, it was a dream weekend because we qualified on pole. We won the first 2 races, and coming into that 3rd race, I mean, we crossed the line side by side. If we hadn't won, I still probably would have been pretty happy with the weekend. But obviously,
because of the overall weekend.
Yeah, but obviously sweeping would have been what I wanted, and it was. You always want to win races. That's race car drivers. You're never going to show up to a weekend and be like, yeah, it's okay, I finished 2nd. Like, that's never going to be. So I would have been. He was pretty frustrated. He wasn't annoyed. We're both like, he was always super, super polite to me, no matter what happened in the race. I think we both have that. I mean, there are plenty of pictures on the FRP website of us like getting out of the cars and laughing with each other after every session because, yeah, that's the way racing should be. And he was frustrated for obvious reasons. I mean, on timing and scoring, he was P1 because of just where the what are they called? The transponders were mounted.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if I were in his position, I'd definitely be frustrated too. But I got lucky on my end.
I understand. One of the differences in karting and now the levels that you get to versus, say, travel soccer, which are the same amount of commitment, the same amount of things. I don't see racing giving out a lot of participation trophies as it does in other types of sports and whatever. I said that, not you, so I can take whatever heat that is might develop. You talk about your teams that are helping you out. Obviously, there's a common thread with the group that's backing you. Give a shout out to your partners, any sponsors that are helping you out or helped you out over this last season.
So D4 Aerospace this whole year has been a huge help to us. They are a company in Denmark, I believe, or Germany. Okay. And they make vertical takeoff and landing planes, but they're electric, which is very cool.
Wow. Okay.
And then Stilo, the USA part of Stilo, they have been a huge help this whole season with Jay Braxton, the one who runs Simpson. He has been a huge, huge help to us and just helping me sort of prepare for the season because a lot of the times, though, as much money and time we put into making the race cars go fast, radios and other electronics struggle a lot more than you'd expect. And then everyone at Sawbelt has been a huge help to us this whole season. So, yeah.
Yeah. And you put them to a test, it sounds like, at VIR when you went into your canoe and testing out their equipment and being able to go through that. Seat time. Seat time is always so important. Without giving away any details, I don't want to know anything about next season, but off season, is it your plans for Chris Griffiths and then being able to put yourself in a position to have some seat time, whether it be karting or other types of testing in Florida or something along that line?
Yes, definitely. I mean, the goal is just to get as much seat time as I can in cars, karts, anything for this entire off season. So I think I'm going to be with Team Pelfrey, the team I was working with this previous season, I'm hoping, not hoping, I'm going to be doing some driver coaching for them and trying to get as many drivers as I can recommended over there and see if we can help out some young drivers. A lot of
Okay.
people are actually coming up from my old karting team
Hmm.
and moving into cars, which is quite cool. And it's really nice to be able to sort of like have familiar faces and work with them. And then, yeah, I mean, it's going to be about, we're trying to get obviously as many tests as we can in that makes sense financially to really get seat time in the car and learn about the car, because it is very, very different to the 1600 car. And then karting wise, I mean, I still own from not really that long ago, the beginning of this season, I was still doing karting. So from then, I still own my go kart and my motor. So I'll probably be at Oakland Valley running laps as much as I can just to get back into the strength conditioning of things.
Yep. Ocala's down here in Anderson Race Park. You'd be able to shine down here if you wanted some sunshine when you guys are up there shoveling snow to be able to do that. So, dream with me for a little bit. What would it be like to make the field of the Indy 500?
Yeah, I don't even know what I could say. I mean, it's a dream. It's exactly that. And I mean, I don't know. It would just be past everything that I've ever imagined. Because to be honest, from my career started in 2015. I mean, it was my first time ever in a go kart, and it was an indoor go kart in 2015. I was,
Wow. Okay.
how old? Yeah, I was 12 at that point, and then, and I mean, this season we weren't even planning on racing cars. We were almost completely sure we were going to be racing go karts this full season, and
Okay.
then suddenly I did my test with Pelfrey and we showed it to Road Atlanta and did really well. And we decided we'd run the car season. And I mean, everything took off from there. So, I mean, for example, I'll ask you, just looking up to him, because he is
Yeah.
probably a pretty big idol of mine at the moment. Him and Robert Regenis, just pursuing that ladder, just getting up the system and getting there. And obviously the road to Indy presented by Keeper Tires gives an awesome opportunity to do that for young drivers. I don't think there's anything like that around the world. And you can see Europeans coming over because it is just such an awesome opportunity. Um, but the Indy 500 would be a complete dream. And any team, any car, whatever, just racing there would be insane. And obviously, the dream is someday to race there and obviously to win there sometime.
Have you ever been to an Indy 500?
Unfortunately, not. I have
Oh,
watched everyone since I got into racing, but not been to an Indy 500.
okay, well there we go. So now you have that even as a bucket list, because there's something completely different about it. People that listen all the time that probably get tired of my stories is this year was my 20th straight. I've never sat in the same seat in a different years, so I've been in different parts of the track in order to experience it. Some years it's been a family reunion with my brother, who's actually a crew chief on a sprint car that runs out in the Evergreen Speedway in the Everett, Seattle area. So a little bit of racing in our blood there. But there's racing at the local track, which is the equivalent of church. And then there's the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, which is definitely a cathedral. And yes, that Road to Indy series providing a pretty straightforward path, at least for the opportunity to be able to do it. And, I wish you well on your journey. Would love to have the opportunity to check back with you in the off season. Maybe if you do participate in Chris Griffiths, to talk to you after that, and but at least touch base, especially when it's 32 degrees there and it's a balmy 70 here in Florida, because we've only got 160 plus days until cars are on the track in St. Pete. So the off season will go pretty quick. But I'd love to be able to check in with you.
Yeah, I would love to too. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
You
And
got it. You got it. Ladies and gentlemen, Josh Green, really a up and coming superstar on a fast track, it sounds like, with his cars. But to be recognized, even to be one of the finalists, is such an honor for that Team USA scholarship. To be in the likes of Braden Eves that we've had on the show, the USF2000 champion, really are good shoes to follow in. And I congratulate you on that, no matter how it turns out with the scholarship award, and look forward to some big things to you in the future. Folks, if you're listening, you can subscribe to this podcast on any one of the major players. We're also on YouTube. Would love for you to leave a comment, share, do all those social media stuff that you're supposed to do. Show us some love. We'd appreciate it. And so until next time, appreciate it, Josh. And to all of you, keep dreaming. Thank you much, Josh. Appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed this video from 33 Dreams of Indy. It would mean the world to me if you would click subscribe so that you could be notified of any new videos that come along.